It is week 8 of the NFL season, and the Green Bay Packers are 5-2. That's a great way to start the season for sure. But now they're going to Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars, and what I see is a classic trap game. Now, the Jaguars aren't that great of a team, but they have certain players. They have the likes of Josh Hines Allen. They have the likes of Devin Lloyd at linebacker. They also have the rookie Brian Thomas, who at times has been a flat out baller running down the field and catching balls. And Travis Etienne, when he's healthy, has been known to have a good game here or there. And Tank Bigsby came off having the biggest game of his career last week in the win against the New England Patriots. Now, Trevor Lawrence is not that great of a quarterback. We've seen the last couple of years. He's just not. He's just not what he was in Clemson, probably because he just doesn't have a good team around him to shave off or shadow some of his flaws that he has, namely his turnover problem, which still to this day has not gone away. He still turns the ball over at a rapid rate, a la Daniel Jones. He is like Daniel Jones turning the ball over. But still, for the Packers, for a team that sometimes struggles in Jacksonville, sometimes struggles in the heat, this is a classic trap game. We will go through the game from top to bottom, but let me know what you think down below. And let's get to it. Like I said, the Packers are going into a trap game for sure, because the Jaguars just came off a big win over the Patriots. Yes, the Patriots are 1-6, not great, but the Jaguars did a darn good job last week making it look easy. And Trevor Lawrence, for all his faults, had a pretty decent game last week. Although, let's be honest, that game was carried by the running game. Tank Bigsby was just efficient, running for over 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked fantastic. Now, for the Packers' sake, Travis Etienne is a game time decision, so we'll see what happens if it's going to be Travis Etienne getting a main share of the carries or Tank Bigsby. Regardless, I think Bigsby gets a decent amount of carries, even if Etienne is going to play. He's not going to be the starter. I mean, Doug Peterson basically said Etienne is still the starter for the time being, even though, let's be honest, Tank Bigsby has been a much better running back for the team this year. Etienne really hasn't had a truly great game all year. Yes, he's been injured, but he has been known to have some good games here. So, rule number one for the Packers: if they're going to win this week, turns out the defense, gotta stop the run. But that's always key. And you never know what you're gonna get with the Packers defense. Sometimes running backs have a good games like they did last week with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon ran all over them, but they were able to stop the passing game. We'll see if they're able to do that this week. I think they should have a relatively good shot going into it. Luckily for the Packers, they're going into this week probably the healthiest they've been all year. Only one player not practicing this week. Corey Valentine has not been practicing the past couple days due to an ankle injury. But for the most part, Packers have a healthy roster, and that's really good to see. Halfway through the season, if your team is mostly healthy, that's really good news, especially considering the swath of injuries we've seen throughout the NFL. Now let's talk about the offense a little bit. Jordan Love should have a really good game this week. He really should. I expect him to have at least 2 touchdowns this week. Should be able to get it to Wicks, Reed, Watson. If I were to pick a wide receiver who's going to have a big game this week for the Packers, I would say Dobbs. Dobbs has been the golden boy ever since coming off the suspension. He's been pretty darn good, so I like his target share to continue to rise. Jaden Reed, I still think is the favorite target, but Roman Dobbs has been pretty darn excellent. Wicks still getting some great throws here and there. Tucker Kraft target share is slowly creeping up, especially after that amazing catch that he had last week. I mean, Jordan Love threw that in between. This why, if the ball had been anywhere more to the right or to the left, probably would have been knocked away, and Packers may have had to kick a field goal in that instance. Now, luckily, the Packers found a kicker, Brandon McManus, that is able to kick field goals, but still, that kind of throw that he had, that first touch on the Kraft, was lightning precision. That's the kind of throw that we saw Aaron Rodgers make forever, Brett Favre make forever. And if Jordan Love can continue to make throws like that, he's going to be a force to reckon for years to come. Now, it still amazes me that he's not in the MVP conversation. Not really. And again, it's all because the NFL cares about winning more than they do actual stats, at least when it comes to quarterbacks. Even though Patrick Mahomes has like 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, or 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I forgot which one, but Patrick Mahomes hasn't been great. Jordan Love has 7 more touchdowns than Jordan Love, but Patrick Mahomes is undefeated, so he's the #1 chance to win the MVP. That just doesn't make any sense. NFL's just covering for the Chiefs. In terms of the running game, Josh Jacobs hopefully should be able to get going this week. Last week, for the Patriots, Ramondre Stevens wasn't able to get anything going, but that was a matter of the offensive line is just shitty. The Patriots have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and the Packers have one of the top 10 offensive lines in the league that has been more or less been pretty consistent the past couple of weeks. Now, if they can run the ball, it's going to be a long day for the Jags because we know what Jordan Love's going to be able to do. We know he's going to find Wicks. We know he's going to find Reed. We know he's going to find Kraft and Watson. Now, Watson hasn't had a great game lately, but he's made some throws or catches in the past couple of games that have really helped the Packers win. And I see him probably getting a touchdown this week. I see Wicks touchdown again probably. Hopefully Jaden Reed is able to get back into it because he hasn't scored a lot lately, but this is probably the game to look forward to for him to getting a touchdown. And on the ground, I like J.S. Jacobs to get at least one this week for sure. Now to the defense. The defense should be able to attack that Jaguars offensive line. Not a great offensive line for sure. They have pieces there, but overall, in total over offensive line composition, not that great. Well, like I was talking about before, it's going to be between ETN and Bigsby. If ETN plays, I still think Bigsby will probably get 20 to 40% of the carries. So maybe the 40% was a little high, but I think they're going to try to ease ETN into it because he's been injured a lot this year. They should be able to get to Trevor Lawrence. I went at least an interception or two against Lawrence. Hopefully McKinney is able to get back into the swing of the turnovers. Hasn't had a couple turnovers the past couple of weeks. The Packers didn't force any turnovers at all last week, which is amazing considering the turnover battle. Packers had 3 last week, and the Texans had 0 turnovers, but the Packers were still able to win. So hopefully they're able to flip that script and cause a couple of turnovers this week, which wouldn't be a big help, especially considering the climate, the environment they're going into. The Packers have been known to lose in Jacksonville from time to time. So now at least it's towards the end of October, so hopefully the heat will have gone down just a little bit, as opposed to being a early September game. Now those games truly suck in the Florida heat, but regardless, I think the Packers should be ready to play just fine. Another thing about the Packers that we're going to want to watch out for is the likes of Devin Lloyd and Josh Hines-Allen. Now, Josh Hines-Allen hasn't had the greatest year this year, not like he did last year, but Devin Lloyd has been coming on strong lately, being able to pressure and cause sacks. I think the Packers offensive line should be able to handle them pretty well, and the way that Jordan Love's been able to get out of the box and make plays downfield, I think the Packers should be able to get through it just fine. Jordan Love has been great for most of the year, and imagine saying that he'd be having a good season after the way the season began. I mean, if you remember that Eagles game, he didn't have the greatest game. Went down with an MCL sprain, missed 2 games, but still, the Packers are 5-2. The Packers are looking strong. They're looking to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I would still put the Lions above the Packers right now, even though the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson, and that is going to hurt them big time down the line. It may not have impacted them that much this past week, but it will going down the line, especially with the Packers looking to play the Lions next week in Green Bay. This is a necessary win. Sure, it's an AFC win, so it doesn't really matter that much in the overall conference standings. But getting a clean sweep of the AFC South would be nice, and having and seeing the Packers come in with a 4-game winning streak at home against the Lions would be huge. But I think the Packers should win this week. Again, some other offensive weapons they have to watch out for are Christian Kirk. Kirk is always a weapon too. Brian Thomas is the main weapon. If Jair can shut down Brian Thomas, the Packers should be able to ramp up that pass rush. If they can even come close to what they had pass rush last week, Packers should win this game handily. But in the end, I think the Packers win this game 27-20, something like that. I think the Trevor Lawrence should be able to get a couple of touchdowns here and there. Should be able to have a running or a rushing TD as well. I just think they're going to come up a little short just because Trevor Lawrence has not been known to be a big comeback guy since he's come into the NFL. And I like to think that the Packers are able to get an interception at the end to close down the Jaguars, be 6-2, ready next to play the Lions next week at home. It's going to be a big matchup, but need to win this week first. Don't look past the Jaguars because they may not be a great team, but they are kind of sneaky good at times. To be honest, at least they have improved their play a little bit. I mean, it certainly helps when you're playing the likes of the New England Patriots in London, but Packers should be able to win this game. It should be a really good game in the Jacksonville heat of the late October part of the season. But Packers win. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Go Pack Go, and as always, God bless.